What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a specific element from all of these Scream rumors that have been going online. So I thought, all right, there's been so many of them, and we're going to kind of rapid fire what the rumors are. But instead of spending the entire video just talking about, which everybody's done, so it's like, I'm not going to retread what's already been said, I want to take a slightly different approach. And I kind of want to talk about just my opinion on one specific element, which is the split of one specific rumor of casting 2 females and 1 male to lead this movie, right? So almost, well, in that way, there'd be, I guess, 4 leads. 2 girls or women, or, whatever you want to say, a male, and then, Neve Campbell as maybe the mentor, of that group, okay? So that's what I want to discuss, kind of my personal opinion on. But to rapid fire, well, number one, that's one of them, right? And I believe that rumor is that they're, currently looking for these leads. So these early 20-somethings, male or female, you get out there and you try to make your impact on the Scream's legacy, okay? So that's one. Another one, obviously, is the Courtney Cox that she is reportedly locked in to film. Fantastic. Like that rumor quite a bit. And then, of course, there is the search or the want for Patrick Dempsey, right? Some sort of communication with him, and it sounds like it's going to happen. Oh, and then one final one. A lot of these, I think, came from, Daniel RPK, right? The final one is filming is reportedly the summer into the fall. So when Neve, we just talked about that a little while ago. So when Neve was talking about a fall filming, she could be half right. It could be ending in the fall and not beginning in the fall, though, right? She made it kind of sound like that. If it takes place in the entirety of the fall, she would be correct, and if it doesn't, I guess she'd be incorrect. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, ultimately, we'll talk about that more as we get closer. And hey, if it's filming this summer, we're gonna have a lot of content, to make and talk and theorize about this summer, okay? But I do want to focus on that lead thing, and it's tough, okay? Because I have said in the past that, look, when you have a Sidney Prescott character and you're making Scream 7 in this situation that you're in, do I understand getting more people, getting more of a cast, to round it out? Yeah, I get it. Would I prefer, and when I say a Sidney-centric movie, I literally mean it, would I prefer that? I think yes. I think the state of the game that we're in right now, and what you have with Neve and even, say, Courtney coming back, with what you have there, I think you go all in on the Sidney Prescott character. That might not be the right move. And this, because it's just me theorizing it, right? I'm not saying this is a guaranteed slam dunk. And ultimately, if these rumors are correct, obviously they don't see it that way, right? They don't see it as a slam dunk because they're going in a different direction. I get why you'd want to have other people to round it out. But when you and we've talked about this before, because of what happened, and again, as we keep saying, the Melissa Jenna thing is going to follow this movie to its freaking grave. It's going to follow it through filming. It's going to follow it through promotion. It's going to follow it through the trailer. It's going to follow it through a release and then post-release, okay? You're never going to stop hearing. And I mean, I can't shut up about, I guess, either, the Melissa and Jenna thing. Important, though, to bring up for this discussion. After what you just did, and not even the optics of how it looks, but you just soft rebooted the franchise. You soft rebooted it 2 years ago. Now, they filmed it back in 2020 in fall, but it came out January of 2022. It has been exactly 2 years and 2 movies since they had a brand new cast. After, by the way, Scream 4 tried a similar thing, but definitely more focus on Sidney in Scream 4 than Scream 5 and 6, right? But you try it in Scream 5 and you do it, further along in Scream 6. I guess my point is, and we have brought this up before, will people tolerate another new cast? I feel like it just kind of muddies the water, and maybe I'm going too hard on the idea, because Melissa's talked about it, right? If they were to ever sell the rights, she's back in a second. I don't want to base every thought I have on the franchise around that statement, because although it's probably true, and I would trust her just statement there, you never know when Spyglass sells. You don't even know if they do sell, what would the new studio think of Melissa, and would they want her to come back? And maybe they already want her to come back and she's just flat out said, no, because it's Spyglass, I will not do it. I will do it for somebody else, and maybe she does come back. But again, optically and just kind of how I feel, we just did this. We just got a new cast that took some growing pains. And I talked about that, in the longer video I did with Steven of Craven Something Scary, right, a few days ago. I think we just talked about this, where it didn't really work right away. The core 4, to me, the core 4 became the core 4, and mostly likable because of 6. it actually took 2 movies, not 1, because I mean, how many times do we have to say it, right? 1 or 5, the first movie with this cast. Chad, non-existent. Tara, very solid but limited role. Mindy, fine. Sam, all over the place. And it really took to 6 to make Chad and Tara and Chad specifically this amazing character, but that relationship great. It's what made Sam an actual, I think, like bona fide main character. Mindy, I think, took some steps back, so she's still in that okay range, but it really did take 2 movies to get there. So the point being, why do I spend so much time talking about it? Well, if they're going to just do it again, then it's like, well, number one, you're asking us, the consumers, the customers, to get invested in another new group right away, 2 years after, and that is without the optics of what they did to, you know what I mean? That's why it's kind of separate, but also not, depends on how you feel about it. Even if you take it completely out and you don't hold a grudge, you don't care, stuff like that. Well, you're still asking us from just a fictional standpoint to watch this movie and get invested, actually more than what we did in 5, get invested again, but just 2 years later. That is a hard ask. That's a really hard ask. And then you're also, again, you're lumping now what actually happened to Melissa and Jenna. So now the people that do care about that, not only you're asking them to get invested again, but you're asking them after what they just did to those 2. Or at least Melissa and then Jenna kind of followed, right? So I think that's tough. So it's a tough situation. Like, was it probable that you were going to get a younger cast to kind of balance Sydney? Yeah, and, again, like, is it the worst thing of all time? No, like, you can make it work. You can make it, and I'm not going to write it off when it happens, right? I'm going to give it a chance, but you don't have to. I was going to say we all have to. We don't. But ultimately, I understand it. It makes sense from what, you do when you soft reboot it, but I think just optically, I don't know. I don't think they'll be able to get away from it. Maybe they will be able to get away with it, but will they be able to get away from the idea that you just did a soft reboot, you just introduced 4 main characters that maybe all 4 are not going to be in this next one, and you're going to introduce at least 3, 2 girls and a male, right? So you're going to introduce at least 3 new 20-somethings, maybe teens, right, into it. It's a hard ask. It's really hard. And I'm not saying it's not going to work. I'm not saying that I won't, support it or do it. But I just think it's tough to read. Like, when I see that rumor, it's like, man, I understand it. But it's definitely, like, again, my preference would really be go hard on Sydney. And I guess what that means would be you could get a lot of the OG, any OG you can get, right, to kind of support her. I think you do it. So you have like a Gale, you have Sydney as the lead, and then you have like the Gale. I think you would bring back Kirby, and I know that's not like the most popular opinion out there, but I think you do. I think Kirby should be in it, and I think that would help that kind of OG kind of like architecture, right? I've seen people say like just ignore 5 and 6 and bring David Arquette back for Dewey. I don't despise that idea. I kind of like a multiversal thing where like 5 and 6 didn't, like if you're really gonna go reboot and you just forget 5 and 6, I just don't think they'll do it, considering also the writer. I don't think he's going to erase his own works, which I think is fair. I think that's a fair reason why you wouldn't do it, right? So I don't know. Like I would have liked it. I can absolutely see the pitfalls of it, and I could see it not working. But I could also see, I don't know, like what she's done for the franchise and just fully giving it to her. Having the rumor that they're getting more people on top of everything we just talked about solidifies that it's not fully her movie. And that is another thing that maybe not ticks me off, but it's something that I think about, right? It's not her full movie. She really might be in 50% of it. She'll be half important. The other half importance is the new cast. And I don't know, like that will depend on how they like execute, because if they execute it wrong, then it's like you shouldn't have even got Nev back in the first place. Just go all in again on a brand new cast, right? Like that will be my reaction if it fails. And if it's a 50-50 split and it fails, why'd you even waste our time? Why'd you waste her time in Nev Campbell? That'll be, but that's jumping the gun. We still got some time to wait. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.